Hello and welcome back to my channel. So it's a new year, 2020, a new decade even, and I don't know about you guys, but I cannot believe we're already halfway through the first month of the year. Crazy. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be taking a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things over the holidays, and you may not have actually sat down and done all of your goal setting and your planning for your business and things like that yet. That's okay. Today I'm going to share with you just a few little tips and strategies to help you set yourself up for success in your low content publishing business in 2020. Now, the first thing you need to do above all else is to adopt a success mindset. Now, there's a bunch of things that are a part of that, but really what I'm talking about here is having that goal, having that clear why, because if you don't really have a reason as to why you want to achieve a goal, there's no way you're ever going to achieve it. So you've always got to have that clear why in mind. Now, you've also got to commit to the process. You've got to commit to actually achieving that goal because you've got that really strong reason why. And committing to it, all that looks like is showing up on a daily basis. But in order to do that, you really want to create a schedule that works for you in your life. And you've got to then actually put that into your calendar. If it doesn't get scheduled, it doesn't get done. I truly believe that. And if you're putting it into your calendar and treating this like a real business, you are far more likely to show up and actually get things done. Now, continuing on with mindset, we've really got to learn how to manage our negative thoughts and our limiting beliefs. I think these are the things that hold us back from success the most. Most of us have this constant stream of negative thoughts going on in the back of our minds, holding us back from the things that we really want to do. And a lot of times we're not even conscious that it's going on. It's just always there. And you really have to learn how to tune in and catch yourself when you're having one of those thoughts, and then turn that thought into something a little bit more logical and true. Because 9 times out of 10, these things that we tell ourselves, they're just not based in reality. It's our reptilian brain trying to keep us safe. And, that was great back in the caveman days, but now what it really does is just hold us back from our dreams. So if we can just recognize when we're having one of those thoughts and then reframe it in a more positive and more truthful light, that's going to be very helpful. So here's an example of a destructive thought. You might think, I just don't have the time or the resources that other people seem to have, so I'm always going to be lagging behind and I am never going to get the results that I want. Now, the objective truth here is, you know what? I might not have the time and resources that some of the other people pursuing this business model might have, but I can do the best that I can with what I've got, and I can reach the finish line in my own time. In fact, it doesn't even matter how long it takes for me to get there. If I just keep taking consistent daily action, I will get there when I'm ready. Now, that first destructive thought is very disempowering, and it's likely to make you want to throw your hands up in the air and give up. The second thought, while you're still acknowledging the grain of truth in the destructive thought, is spinning it around, and it's just a more empowering way to look at your situation, and that's likely going to spur you on and allow you to get to the finish line in your own time. Now, mindset is everything. It really is what's going to make or break you. So you need to cultivate it and nurture it at every opportunity that you have. And if you do that, you truly will become unstoppable. Now, the second tip is to create your 2020 publishing schedule. So what you need to do here is just sit down with your calendar. Firstly, look at all of the seasonal niches that you can take advantage of. Now, I like to throw this into a spreadsheet. You can do it right on a calendar, whatever you think, but just take note of all of the different seasonal niches that you would like to pursue. So these can be things like holidays, Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's, all of those types of things. And they can also be things like back to school, graduation, something like that. So you want to plot those all out on your calendar or mark them in your spreadsheet with the dates that they happen. And then you want to decide when you are going to publish books. So I like to give myself at least a couple of months before the actual holiday. That's when I like to get those books ready and uploaded so that they're already there and ready for people to buy when that holiday comes around. Now, I don't think you need to do this so far in advance that you're doing it like 6 or 10 months ahead of time, but give yourself a good couple of months before that holiday and get them all locked in so that at the beginning of each month, you know exactly which books you're going to publish. Then, after you've plotted in all of your seasonal niches, you can take any remaining evergreen niches. So those are niches that aren't season dependent. They typically sell well throughout the year, no matter what time of year. If you've got a list of those that you'd like to try and get into, you can plot those in between all of your seasonal niches. That way, you've got your evergreen and your seasonal niches all taken care of. It's all plotted into a calendar or a spreadsheet, and you know exactly each month which books you're going to be publishing and when you want to get them out the door. That just helps you remain organized for the entire year. Now, if you want, you can do it across the year, like I've just mentioned, or you can break it up into quarters. It's totally up to you, whichever way you find easiest and keeps you organized. Now, another thing you want to do is go back and update some of your older books. Now, so many of us, we are just so focused on creating new books that we forget about the books that we've already published. A lot of us have this mindset that the more books we publish, the closer to success we're going to get. And that is just not true. Now, books that you have previously published, those are already existing assets, especially if they are generating some sales for you. So you do want to stay on top of some of those ones that you have already published that have been generating some sales, and you want to give them a little bit of TLC so that they can continue to make sales for you in the new year and beyond, hopefully years to come. And it'll give you a chance to assess your catalog and give some TLC to some of the ones that might need a little bit of a boost that are starting to fall behind. You might actually be able to revive some of those and keep them as money-making assets for you long into the future, hopefully. So the first thing I would recommend doing is swapping out some keywords. So what you can do is, firstly, what I like to do on my seasonal books, every time I come into a new year, and let's say I've got some planners, I'm going to redo all of the keywords for that every single year. Keywords change over time, so they're going to change on a yearly basis, and they're going to be changing all throughout the year. So at the very least, you want to be updating something like that on a yearly basis to make sure your keywords are fresh. Now, you can also do this on evergreen books. If you've got some evergreen books that have been doing fairly well, and then suddenly you notice that the bestsellers rank and the sales start to decline, that's a pretty good indicator that you might want to refresh your keywords. And I would definitely take the time to do this with those books, no matter how old they are, because it's a proven book. It's been generating sales. So if there's anything you can do to revive that book, it's well worth your effort. This, of course, requires some tracking. You can go into your Author Central account and you're actually able to see the bestsellers rank plotted on a graph over time. So you can take a look at that and easily see the ups and downs of the bestsellers rank and kind of pinpoint when and where something started to decline. And then you can take any necessary action steps. And firstly, I would swap out my keywords and see if that helps. Now, obviously, I don't recommend swapping out your keywords for every single book that you've published, especially if you've got hundreds of them. But do take note of the ones that have been generating sales and try and, take note if you're seeing a decline in the bestsellers ranking and the sales. Now, another thing you can do if you've got hundreds of books that haven't sold at all, I wouldn't really spend too much time there, but what you can do, because most of us are publishing in batches of about 10 to 20 using the same interior with 10 to 20 different covers, you could swap out the keywords for one of those books and just track how that does. And if it helps, then you can go back and update the rest of the batch. So if you've got several batches of books, you might want to update the keywords on one book out of several batches and see if that helps. If it does, great. But I wouldn't just go ahead and do it across the board because that might just be a waste of your time. Now, another way you can update your older books is to take stock of any negative reviews that you've gotten, and you can address those reviews, say it's a review about your cover or something to do with the interior. Those are things that you can change. And if customers are asking about it or complaining, that's something that's within your control to do. So again, especially if this is a book that's making some sales, you can go in, make a few changes to that book. You can call it out in this description and say, this book has been updated to include XYZ, And that's another way to kind of keep your books fresh and just address any negative reviews that you might have had. Another way you can update older books is to play around with price elasticity on books that are doing well. So if you've got a book that's selling really well for you at $7.99, try upping the price to $8.99 and see what happens. You want to be able to play around with this and see how high you can get that price before the sales drop off to a point at which you start losing any profitability. So you don't want to play around too heavily like this, especially on a book that's doing well. But if it is doing well, raise the price by $1 and track the results very closely and see what happens. Now, if your book is already doing well, it's got some good reviews, which is great social proof, that book is still going to look good at $1 more than it does at $1 less. And most customers, if they found a product that they like and they're seeing some good reviews and they want that book, $1 is not going to make a lick of difference to most people. Now, it's going to be not much of a thing for them, but for you, it's going to be adding up big time, especially if you're selling dozens or even hundreds of units of that book per month at $1 each in additional royalties per book. That's going to be a total game changer for you. So don't be afraid to update price. So the final tip I'm going to leave you with here is to track your results. So you're not going to achieve any amount of success if you're not frequently taking stock of what's working and what isn't, and then adjusting your process and your action steps accordingly. Again, this is another reason to keep your catalog of books manageable. You don't want tens and tens of thousands of books that are just so unwieldy that you really have no means to go in and track individual books. Now, we're still going to be working with most likely several hundred books. That's going to be difficult enough. So you don't want to be working with tens of thousands of books. You want to keep it as small as possible, keeping in mind that you are going to have some level of volume here to be dealing with. But we do want to be able to go in and track individual books. So you should be downloading your royalty report on a monthly basis and looking at the books that are selling and, the ones that aren't. And when you've got a good handle on which books are selling, then you can do some more of the same and you can try and build on top of that success. Also, if you are doing any updates to any older books, you want to be able to track that in a spreadsheet. So I've got a spreadsheet and I will have the ASIN, the name of the book, the pen name, and I might write down swapped keywords on this date, and then I'll have a list of the new keywords. So this just allows you to go in and actually see if any of the steps that you're taking to try and improve your sales are actually working. If you're making any of these updates, you want to be able to go back in afterward and see, did that actually work? And you're not going to have any way of knowing that unless you've recorded it somewhere. So you might want to track the book's bestseller ranking before and after doing some sort of an update. And you want to track it over time. Don't just take one set of bestseller ranking data. You want to be looking at that chart that I mentioned earlier on Author Central and taking a look at what that chart looks like over a period of, say, the last 30 to 60 or 90 days. Make your results, record the date and exactly what you did, and then refer back to that chart so that you can see it. If you just take 2 readings on 2 single days, you're really not going to get any useful data because that thing is changing constantly every single day, even throughout the day from hour to hour. So any results or any updates that you're making, you want to be able to take them to that bestseller ranking chart. Again, you can find that on Author Central. And you want to take a look at the results over time, the before and after of about, like I said, at least 30 days. Preferably look at it from 60 or 90 days. Record what you did and when, and then go back to that chart and see if you have had any success with the action steps that you took. So tracking your results in this way really is the only way to gather the necessary data that you're going to need to create any necessary changes. So there you have it. I hope you found those few simple strategies for helping you to set your low content publishing business up for success in 2020 useful. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as that bell so that you can get notified every time I put out one of these videos, which is every single Monday. Now, if you want some more low content publishing tips, you can find me over at my blog at rachelharrisonsund.com. And if you're new to my channel and you're just starting out with this whole low content publishing thing and you would like a free guide to get going, you can head down to the description below and click on the link for my 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.